And welcome to another edition of Rosen Sports Monday on this beautiful Monday. Mark Rosen along with the founder of TalkNorth Sports, Jim Souhan, of course, longtime columnist for the Star Tribune as well. Jim, thanks so much for hopping on, and there's so much to talk about.
Oh, man, it's such a great time right now.
It really is. It matches the weather. First of all, we'll hear from them a little bit later. Kudos to my sponsors, Lexus of Wayzata, Lexus of Maplewood, Charlie Swanson's the man, the guy out there. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And Broadway Dental, Dr. Ben Stein, right in Northeast Minneapolis, does a wonderful job. And I've mentioned a bunch of times as well, if you have any problems with sleep apnea and you've taken a sleep study, you need to see Dr. Stein because he can set you up like he set me up to have a restful night's sleep without wearing that goofy CPAP machine. More on that later.
Listen, someone at this network needs to talk to him. We'll get into that. I won't say anything.
Seriously.
But we'll have the conversation later.
Well, I've been preaching for so long because it can be so detrimental to your health if you have sleep apnea and don't treat it. Anyway, we have a lot to talk about, and let's just start with, you wrote about it in your column. It says, in Finchie we trust. The Timberwolves now know officially, of course, who they are playing in the second round of the Western Conference playoffs. I mean, they go from LeBron and Luka to Steph, buckets, and Draymond Green. From a writer's standpoint, from a broadcast standpoint, from a fan standpoint, from a player standpoint, it doesn't get any better than this, Jim.
It doesn't. I'm often accused of being a baseball guy.
Yeah.
I don't know why, because I covered the Vikings just as much as I ever covered the Twins. But that for some reason that became my persona. But man, it's hard to beat the NBA. The athletic ability, it combines the passion and the rivalries and the trash talk of pro wrestling. Only it's a real sport with the best athletes in the world, and they go at each other day after day after day. There's strategy. It's fascinating. And as you said, we're getting to see, thanks to Ant, thanks to Finch, thanks to Tim Connolly, we're getting to see this procession of the world's greatest basketball players, some of the greatest basketball players who ever lived, coming through Minneapolis. This is as good as it gets.
Yeah, I mean, with all due respect to the Houston Rockets, a team
they were not ready.
Yeah, as an NBA fan, keep your eye on and go, well, you know what? They're going to be a force to be reckoned with if they keep their path the straight way. But they were not ready. You're right. And in Game 7 at home, they got they got taken behind the old woodshed by Steph and Draymond in particular, and Jimmy Butler and Buddy Hield, whoever, fill in the blanks, and Steve Kerr, who just out-coached their guy. But having said that, I mean, Golden State was a team that was floundering, and they made the big trade. They got Jimmy Butler, who's normally can be a team killer, a coach killer, whatever you want to say. And he's fit in like the glove, like the proverbial glove, Gary Payton. Bit of a surprise to see Golden State be here.
Well, not with Jimmy Butler. Where they were before the Butler trade, they looked like they were lost, and they looked old and tired and shallow. Butler, listen, everybody wants good Jimmy Butler. When Jimmy is trying to prove himself to your organization, when he's playing for his next contract, when he's playing for reputation, when he's playing in big games, everybody wants him. What you don't want is Jimmy who's got his eye elsewhere. And right now he's all in, and he's on the national stage, and he knows it, and he's playing well. But honestly, it's their intelligence more than anything else. You know, I mean, Curry's a great three-point shooter. Jimmy can do a lot of things well. Draymond is a pain in the butt. But those three guys can outthink you on the court, unlike many other players, unlike many other teams. I don't think they're great physically right now. I think the Rockets let them off the hook in the seventh inning. If you watch that seventh game against the Rockets, Rockets missed a million makeable buckets.
Yeah, they did.
Şengün was usually great, was terrible. Van Vliet lost his composure and yelled at Şengün. They don't have an offensive go-to guy other than Şengün being inside. They don't have a reliable outside shooter. That was the fascinating thing is the Western Conference is great this year, but we also sat there and said, I wouldn't mind playing the Rockets, you know? Oklahoma City's great, but they haven't proven anything in the postseason. The Lakers have star power, but do they have depth? You know, the Warriors are old and tired. I think the Wolves are catching them at the perfect time.
To revisit the Jimmy Butler saga here in Minnesota, and because you know he's going to be booed mercilessly for game one, anytime they play a Target Center. And sometimes I wonder, the fans even know why they're booing him.
You know what they should do? If Minnesota fans wanted to be effective rather than just self-congratulatory, ignore them. You guys loved getting booed.
Oh,
if
absolutely.
you ignored them, Jimmy'd be looking around like, my God, don't they remember me?
Yeah,
they love getting booed.
Yes, of course they do. But his beef, they always heard like he had something going on with Karl Anthony Towns. His beef was more with management, right? He wanted a max contract, and to my understanding, that he wanted the same deal that Andrew Wiggins got and Karl Anthony Towns got. They did not come forward with it. Then he just kind of burned down the building.
Basically, that is the quick synopsis. And the problem with Jimmy Butler's ego is when he realized he wasn't going to get the deal here, he tried to punk Karl Anthony Towns, Andrew Wiggins. Instead of saying, I'm the veteran guy who's been there before, I'm going to make these guys better. He's like, I'm going to prove to you how much better I am than them and how much mentally tougher I am than them. And you know what? They weren't ready for it at that point in their career.
Yeah. Well, if you look at him now, I mean, he is playing like a team player. I mean, it's Jimmy Butler is fit well, I think really well. Chris Finch has said it as well. He was a little skeptical of how Butler might fit in with Steph Curry. They're playing awfully well together, and he's made that kind of a difference. That's why they're here playing the Minnesota Timberwolves in the second round.
They're playing well. I do question their fatigue level.
Yeah.
Remember, Kerr pulled him off the court in what looked like was still a winnable game in Game 6 to rest him for Game 7.
He did.
Right, so Game 5. I'm getting my games mixed up, but you get the point.
Right.
The Warriors had to play the play-in round. Then they had to play on Sunday night. Then they have to start a series in Tuesday in Minneapolis. The Wolves had a week off to prepare for the Lakers, and they destroyed them. Now they've had almost a week off to prepare for the Warriors. Every time Finch has been given a open period of time to prepare for another team, his team has dominated that team.
Yeah, I can see that coming. Like many others, I was ecstatic when Golden State won last night and won handily because I thought, well, this is the team you want to see. You want to go, again, the star power speaks for itself, and if they happen to advance the Western Conference Finals as the Wolves did a year ago and play Oklahoma City, unless, somehow that Denver, right? I mean,
Denver could take down Oklahoma City.
I mean, that's not an easy. They're going to find out in a hurry where they're at because their level of competition after kind of coasting in this very competitive Western Conference has not been there. They have not had to turn it on for, as you say, for a whole series. That could be the case. But getting back to the Wolves, and I know you wrote about the other day in Finchy We Trust. What's the genesis behind that and getting some bouquets thrown? Because I'm social media, but I mean, fire Finch and fire. As soon as they hit the wall, and they blew some games that were very winnable and blew 20-point leads, et cetera, like a lot of teams do, but. Chris Finch has been kind of the steadying force for this team. They
keep on blowing up his roster, and he keeps on winning with it.
Yeah.
He's the only Timberwolves coach in history to win 3 playoff series in 2 seasons.
Amazing. Think about that. Not Flip Saunders. Not.
I think he's about to become the first Timberwolves coach ever to coach in 2 Western Conference Finals.
Mm-hmm.
They hadn't been in the Western Conference Finals since 2000. I'm going to say something very rude. I'm going to apologize ahead of time.
Okay.
If a fan says it on social media, it probably has no basis in reality.
No, that's very true.
Finch is a great coach, and he might not call a timeout at the exact right time. He might not make the sub you want him to make. He might get caught, making trying a strategy that doesn't work. Coaching is so much more than that. Coaching is player development, it's continuity, it's culture, it's getting people to play for you, it's getting people to put their own ambitions aside for the good of the team. He's done all of that. They blew up a winning team and gave him Gobert, and then everybody got hurt. He had to find his way through that. As soon as he had a fully healthy roster, he goes to the Western Conference Finals. They hand him Julius Randle. They take away Karl Anthony Towns. They tell him, hey, make this work, even though Julius Randle's a dominant ball handler, and you already have those guys.
Right.
And guess what? And here's where the national perceptions are very interesting, because the Warriors have earned the right to be a glamour team. They have earned the right for ESPN to talk about them ad nauseum. So the stat we keep hearing, 23-8 from the time the Warriors added Jimmy Butler to the end of the regular season. That's fantastic, right? And they became much better defensively, much better rebounding team. All that's true. The Wolves are 21-5 since Julius Randle came back from injury.
Think about it.
21-5. Nobody goes 21-5.
I'll tell you what, Jim. And I was I went out to visit my son in Los Angeles, and I was out there for the Wolves' opening game of the regular season against the Lakers. And I thought, well, this is going to be fun. I've watched Julius Randle play a lot for the Knicks, and Dante DiVincenzo. I've liked, going back to Villanova. This is going to be fun to watch these guys. And they were completely out of sync that night.
Yep.
They were fish out of water. I said, well, this is only game one, so I wasn't that discouraged, but it took a lot longer than I think people expected. And then there were the injuries. Obviously, Randall got hurt. Gobert got hurt. I mean, they went through a period of time, but the NBA allows that to happen. And because the seeding, as we have seen, where the Wolves with the 6th seed have home court advantage in the second round of the playoffs, says it all.
The Wolves upset, and I'm saying that in quotation mark, the Lakers. Lakers are 3rd seed, and the Wolves upset the Nuggets. The Wolves got upset by Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Home court and seeding mean almost nothing. And that makes the regular season kind of weird, but it makes the postseason thrilling.
It does. And I think, this. I mean, we'll get into the Wild in a little bit, but our sports town needs this. We've been saying it for a long, long time because of the lack of success in postseason in particular. But it feels different with this Wolves team, and it's not to suggest that they're the best team in the West, even, because they're going to have to conquer OKC if they get by Golden State, in all likelihood, to get to the finals, which would be off the charts exciting. But it does take some time, but it does, like, people have kind of embraced this team. Target Center is alive like we haven't heard it since 2004, or even more so, I think, than last year.
This is a really good basketball town if you give them anything to believe in. And if you don't, they'll go to something else. There you got high school games, you got college games, you got think about the Twin Cities. We have a million things to do. It's amazing, the sports, the entertainment, music scene, theater we have in this town. There's always something else to do if the team isn't good. The team's good, this fan base responds. We've seen that with the John Krasinski show. It's one of our most popular shows on the network. When we do our live shows at Head Flyer Brewing, we pack the place. And by the way, first time I heard the phrase "in Finchy we trust" was from a Timberwolves executive when we did our first live show of this regular season. And they were playing lousy, and everybody was depressed and angry at Finch. And a team executive I was talking to, he said, "Hey, listen, in Finchy we trust. We know we threw him a curveball here. We know he's going to figure it out."
Yeah, and he has. I mean, his wealth of experience in European basketball, coming here, he's been through it all, and it gives you hope for the future. And speaking of management, I mean, Tim Connolly has said that he wants to come back, and there's no reason to believe he's going to go bolt back for Denver or anything like that. But if you look at the Wolves' future beyond this season, and how do they get better? They got a couple guys who just really aren't. Terrence Shannon's had a couple of moments where I love to see him play when he does, because he can get to the lane in a split second. Rob Dillingham got hurt, got a thigh bruise or whatever. I don't think he's going to play at all in this series. What do you feel about their future with those two young guys, looking at maybe the potential departure of Mike Conley as he gets on in age? Yeah,
I mean, Mike Conley eventually is going to leave, and it might be after the season. He's been a complete class act, and he's been a leader. He's been great for Ant. He's been great for this roster. Eventually, he's going to go. He's just not going to be able to do it. And who knows? Maybe this is his last year. I think you have a very good roster. Most of the players are young. Ant is still figuring it out, believe it or not. He's still figuring it out. I think Dillingham is your future point guard. I think Terrence Shannon is your next power forward, and Jalen Clark is a perfect bench player. You can put him in the game. He's going to make every energy play. He's going to lock down. He can lock down the opposing top scorer. He can play without fouling. He can shoot it way better than any of us thought he could. I think they're in great shape. I just think they're set up for long-term success.
We had your co-worker, Chris Hine, on my podcast a few weeks ago, talking about his new book, Ant, which is coming out, I think, June 3rd, not that far away. And that should be an interesting read. But, I mean, say no more. The Ant was, 0 for 10, 3-point shooting.
0 for 11.
0 for 11, whatever he was. And the Wolves still, I don't think, when you're watching that game, the closeout game against the Lakers, they still felt, they could lose this game. I don't think they're going to lose this game. Yep. But the spotlight continues to shine brighter and brighter on Anthony Edwards. And you just said it. He's 23 years old. It doesn't feel as if the moment's going to be too big for him, that he's embracing a lot of this, especially with these challenges that he's had, facing the Goliaths of the business head on, series after series, now 2 years in a row. Yeah, I wrote about it in the Monday Star Tribune. He's been all over the map in the postseason. Yes, his first postseason game as a 20-year-old, he scored 36 points at Memphis. He's had, I think, 5 40-point
performances. Mm-hmm. He's had great performances. The last 2 Wolves closeout victories, he went 6 for 24 in Denver in Game 7.
Amazing.
And he went 0 for 11 from 3, which you don't want that to happen. You want him to shoot better in big games, but it's a testament to the rest of his game and the way this roster is built that they can win some of the biggest games in franchise history when he's not even shooting well.
Right. He said, I think, during the Dallas series last year, his legs were dead. I mean, he's 23 years old, and he had no jump left in him. And I know it kind of drives you crazy because you're watching a game. You know, he crosses midcourt and he's launching a 3 when they needed to go after Luka. I'm going, just go drive.
I think he was mentally tired as much as anything.
Yeah,
he looked fried.
Yeah, he did. Well, this is what the rest should do him well. But we'll see what it does for Steph Curry with playing with that kind of fatigue. As far as the future goes, we talk about some of the young players, but you know, it's at some point the Board of Governors are going to put the rubber stamp, we believe, on the new ownership with A-Rod and Mark Laurie. Does it mean anything immediately? How do you view this transfer from Glenn Taylor, we've heard so much about, that finally got approved, that the arbitrator ruled in their favor? And other than trying to get a new arena built, do you think any changes will be made of any significance?
I think we're entering into a danger zone. Glenn had finally figured out how to be a good NBA owner.
Interesting.
He allowed A-Rod and Laurie to go get Tim Connolly and spend a lot of money on Connolly, which is the right move. And he just said, okay, I actually have people who know what they're doing. I'm going to back off. I will give you all the money you want. You go do your thing. The last 3-4 years, he's been the perfect NBA owner. He was not a good owner before then. We know that. A-Rod and Laurie, I mean, they could do anything. They could move the team to Mars. They could demand, they could start a stadium fight. They've talked about wanting to privately fund it. It's a nice thing to say. Let's see how that works out. They could move the team out of Minneapolis, which I would be opposed to.
I can't see the league doing that. They want that expansion money. They could,
even if they don't move the team out of state, which I think the league would fight. They could move it to Blaine or something.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, not out of,
which I would really not like to see. Minneapolis needs the Wolves and the Lynx. There are so many question marks surrounding Laurie and Rodriguez and the way they went through this process. And what Timberwolves sources kept telling me during the thing is, okay, Glenn might not be technically right about this thing. He's taking a shot here. But the way Glenn felt, the way Glenn's partners felt, the way the organization felt was, my God, if you really want to own the Timberwolves and they double in appreciation during the period while you're getting ready to make your next payment, and if you aren't there a month early with, a box of cash, making sure nothing goes wrong with it, something's a little dicey there. Now they brought in Bloomberg and people are like, oh, that means they have tons of money.
Just write a check.
But you know what? It's not how it works. The minority owner doesn't write the check to help out the majority owner. The minority owner sitting there, if you can't write the check, I'll take the team.
Correct. So, what does he need it for? What does he need them for?
Yeah. So we are entering a real minefield here. It might all work out great, but I got to see it.
Yeah. Meanwhile, our other winter sports team, the Minnesota Wild, were also in the postseason. It's like Groundhog Day all over again. The easy thing to do for fans who want to believe year after year after year is continually blame the Suter-Parisi contracts year after year after year. But they just cannot get out of the first round. And it seems like every time they lose in the first round, the opponent, in this case was Vegas, pats them on the head and goes, boy, they were tough. Tough competition. They gave us everything we wanted.
It wasn't just them. It was also the Twin. I was in the locker room after the game. It was Twin Cities media patting them on the head and saying, oh, you guys play so hard. You know what? It's hockey. You're supposed to play hard.
Yes.
Number 2, close games are not, it's not like you don't get a treat for playing in a close game. It's hockey. Nobody's going to score 20 goals and blow you out. It's going to be a close game. It's how you perform in the close games that defines everything. It'll be really interesting to see. Guerin has been an aggressive general manager. He was aggressive in getting ready Parisi and Suter. He's been aggressive with his assets since then. They got to re-sign Kaprizov. And they do.
He said all the right things in his post-season news conference.
They have no choice but to re-sign him.
Right.
And then I think Boyum will make a big difference. He'll give them. They already have a great defense group. Now they'll have an offensive defensive group. Faber and Boyum is one of the best young pairs in the league. They got to fill out the scoring roster. We kept on hearing they're going to get rid of Rossi. I think that would be a mistake.
I agree.
But if you do it, you better replace him with somebody who can score.
Yeah.
They don't give you points for playing hard. They give you points for outscoring the other team, and by scoring more goals, they don't have enough goal scorers. So I think cautious optimism is warranted as long as they get the Kaprizov deal done, but they just still have to prove they can win a playoff series.
Yeah, and that's just it. Vegas look like, sometimes they look like men against boys sometimes. They're just the size of some of these teams they go up against in the postseason is so apparent. And I know that it's hard to fill all the blanks. They still have contracts they have to write, and they don't have gobs of money. But Bill Guerin's, this is going to be arguably the most important offseason of his tenure here in Minnesota, because everyone's expecting him to make some solid moves, not necessarily a one that's going to shake the tree. Like, oh, we signed so and so from the next Connor McDavid, but they've got to fill out the roster, and because otherwise, other than watching Kaprizov, Boldy, Joel Eriksson Ek on the ice in the playoff series, you go, I don't think this team can score.
Right.
They can grind it out and try to get a goal here and there off a skate, but they just don't have those kind of players.
They need more Rossies, not fewer Rossies.
Right.
And they need a bunch of players who play like Ryan Hartman did in the playoffs.
Right.
They need to find that kind of guy, somebody who's affordable, but who will rise to the occasion in the playoffs, who will embrace that challenge, and who can be a threat. Hartman had a mediocre year, maybe even a lousy year. In the playoffs, he was a force every night.
I just, honestly, someone had told me, and I was fortunate to cover long before they wanted to win, when Doug Risebrough was the GM, and they went to the Stanley Cup Western Conference Finals in Anaheim, and they upset Colorado, they upset Vancouver down 3-1, both those series. They weren't supposed to be anything that year. But think about it, that was 2003 when that happened.
It's a long time ago.
Oh my! You can have your kids playing on the Wild right now compared to how long since they've really been a force in the postseason. But the fans continue to show up.
It's amazing. And that, again, I think there's a double standard. It's like, because it's hockey, people just go, oh, you tried hard. Well, if anybody else is up in game 4, lost the lead, then lost 3 straight to bow out of a playoff series, we'd be shredding them. In the Wild, it's like they get cookies.
Well, I guess you could be the St. Louis Blues this morning, so there's that.
That's true. Yeah, you could be exhausted and out of the playoffs.
Exactly. Hey, let's take a break right now. Again, Mark Rosen along with Jim Souhan. We'll take a break and acknowledge our sponsors and be back with more conversation after this. Hey, Rosie here for Broadway Dental and my good friend, Dr. Ben Stein. I'm a patient of Dr. Stein's at both his sleep apnea clinic and dental clinic. He has a newly renovated and conveniently located dental office in Northeast Minneapolis next to Certix. I mean, it's the most modern facility you could possibly find. Dr. Stein has a great chairside manner. He's nice. He's understanding. He obviously knows his stuff, and he'll spend quality time with each patient. We'll make sure they are properly cared for. I want to talk about beyond the obvious dental care is sleep apnea. I was diagnosed with it years ago, and I was stuck with that silly, cumbersome CPAP machine, and I couldn't wait to get rid of it. And I mentioned it to Dr. Stein, and he set me up with his sleep appliance area. And it's the easiest thing in the world. You just pop an upper, lower appliance in each night. My snoring is gone. My wife says I don't snore at all, and I get a restful night's sleep. And if you have sleep apnea, Dr. Stein is the best to see as well to help you in that area. So if you want to contact them in Broadway Dental, give them a call at 612-379-2300. That's 612-379-2300. Hey, Rosie here for Lexus of Wayzata and Lexus of Maplewood. If you're in the market for a new luxury vehicle, look no further than my good friend Charlie Swanson at Lexus. Whether you're on the west or the east side of the Twin Cities, they have got you covered with 2 great locations, Lexus of Wayzata and Lexus of Maplewood. Check out the all-new Lexus TX, a spacious SUV with 3 rows of seating and plenty of room for all your gear. Head over to LexusofWayzata.com or LexusofMaplewood.com for details and to find your next ride today. Mark Rosen back with Jim Souhan, founder of TalkNorth Sports, from having a blast with this podcast, Jim.
I'm so glad you're with us. It's such a great thing. You and I talked about this for years.
I know.
And to have it actually come to fruition is just wonderful for us.
I know you cover a lot of basketball. You cover all the sports as a columnist. We mentioned some of the occupants of Target Center, and there's a team called the Minnesota Lynx.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be taking over soon. Their schedule will be starting. Cheryl Reeves has been a mainstay there, coach, GM. She wears all the hats, and they were fiery even in their kind of media day. Still bitter about how that last season ended on just a god awful call. I mean, they lost the championship game when the commissioner of the WNBA was wearing a Statue of Liberty dress to the occasion in the final game, which I thought was kind of telling. But again, whatever it is. This is a team that is expected to be almost as competitive as any team in town, more than any team in town. There's something that Cheryl does with this team. With Nafisa Collier, they always have a star, then they have a really good supporting cast. It looks like they got another one coming up.
I mean, they didn't lose anybody. As the old saying goes, they didn't graduate any seniors.
Yes.
And Nafisa might be even better today than she was a year ago. She keeps adding to her game. And everything that's said about that, I was there for that championship game.
Oh, my.
Everything everybody said and complained about is absolutely true. They did get jobbed. The commissioner did.
Yeah, we don't want to be bitching about officials normally. This was it.
It was absolutely true. Also, what was true is that the Lynx went into that game telling each other, don't let it be close.
Right.
And if Courtney Williams plays a normal game,
mm-hmm.
they win by 8. Nobody's talking about officials. So it's both things. They got jobbed and they still could have won.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. I mean, they are a championship caliber team. I thought last year was Cheryl Reeves' best coaching job ever. Because if you look at her championship teams, I mean,
they were loaded.
5 Hall of Famers.
Right.
She had Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer. I mean,
mm-hmm.
5. I mean, Rebecca Brunson should be in the Hall of Fame, by the way. She had Hall of Famers, and she coached them well. Last year, that was the rare case of a team saying nobody believed in us, and they were actually telling the truth. I thought they were going to be an average team. They brought in 2 seemingly average players from a bad franchise as their major acquisitions. Smith and Williams. And Cheryl was a genius. They fit perfectly. Everything she wanted to do offensively, defensively, cohesion, culture, all that stuff. They supported Fee perfectly. They got Kayla McBride back to playing at an all-star level, and she was great. So I thought Cheryl, that was her best year as a general manager and her best year as a coach.
Has the Caitlin Clark effect had a trickle-down effect on teams like the Lynx, even when they're not playing Caitlin? And now Paige Beckers, our own Paige Beckers, is in the league, and the WNBA is now with Angel Reese. They're getting some real names that people know and have followed, and it's not just a hardcore group of fans. That national television, I think all but 3 of Caitlin's games are on national TV. This speaks well for the future of the league. I know they have the new collective bargaining agreement coming up a year from now, but they've been grossly underpaid for a while. But maybe now they're going to get well-deserved jump in pay because the TV money is going to be there.
It will be, and I do think the Caitlin Clark effect is real, especially in terms of television, and especially when she plays in your arena.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that brings more people out to the average Lynx game, we'll have to wait and see. I think Paige Beckers brings a lot of attention. The fact that some of these players are feisty and they'll fight with Angel Reese, or they are Angel Reese. I think that all helps. I think all that really helps with television. And let's be honest, these are all television sports. They'll do anything for the television money because the television money is huge. It's transformative. They want to fill their arena, but it's the TV money that really matters most to them.
Yeah, it seemed like the league itself was almost teetering a few years ago, and then Caitlin blows up at Iowa, and it's like everything changed. I mean, it just feels like overnight.
I felt like they were making steady
strides.
Project.
Yeah,
progress. I thought it was all moving in the right direction, but it was moving very slowly. And then Caitlin Clark, she was if Caitlin Clark hadn't existed, they should have invented her.
I know it. And she's an attraction. There's no doubt about it. But you're right. You talk about the Lynx and go down the list with Simone Augustus, Maya Moore, Lindsay Whalen,
Sylvia Fowles, Rebecca Brunson.
And they're winning championships. Prince is inviting him to private concerts out at Paisley Park. I mean, it was quite a time out there, and we've kind of turned the page now. And Cheryl's still there, and she still seems to be. You know her well. as highly motivated as any coach I've ever been around.
She is as driven as anybody I've ever been around. And she's driven in all kinds of different ways, all at the same time. She's driven to win. It's always about winning. She's driven to stand up for every social justice issue that she can. She's there to fight for women's rights. She's there to elevate her league, her team. She's all in.
Do you feel that the fan base has expanded along with that?
I believe it has. But I really do think we are in a test period. Okay, what's the attendance when Caitlin Clark comes to town? What's the attendance when Paige Beckers comes to town? What's the attendance when they're playing Los Angeles on a Tuesday night? You know, it's always been a very loyal fan base, but it has not been as large a fan base as they would like it to be. Will that carry over? That's the question I need to see answered.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the team across the street from Target Center, the Minnesota Twins, struggling this out of the gate. I mean, they had we talked about it before we went on the air today. A pretty entertaining series against the Red Sox at Fenway, including, Cody Clemens home run with his dad up in the stands watching up in the suite, which was a sweet moment to say the least. But man, it's been a struggle offensively with this team. I mean, Correa is trying to maybe snap out of it now. We just got word that both Willie Castro, more importantly, Royce Lewis, who hasn't played a minute this year, is back in the lineup. How much of a positive effect? It's not too late, obviously, because it looks like their pitching can hold up.
I really think they have a chance. And the problem is, it's like the Twins are the opposite of the Wild. It's like people pat the Wild on the head when they lose. The Twins lose a game in April and people just panic. Royce is their best player. They're a team built to hit home runs. He's their best home run hitter. He is their biggest personality. He's the person who energizes that team. If he can play well and stay healthy, he changes everything. Willie Castro was overall their best player last year. And Edward Julian can't play second base. So now you get Willie Castro, who elevates your defense and your offense and gives you speed on the bases. Keishel might be their best overall hitter in terms of professional at-bats. Whenever they get him back, he'll make a big difference. Wallner might be their best pure power hitter and on-base guy.
And he's hurt, right?
He's hurt too. So they've really been missing maybe their four best offensive players. I know Byron Buxton and Correa should be, but they're not. Buxton's too streaky. Correa is a good, not great hitter. So if now Correa is your fifth best hitter instead of the guy you're looking to carry you every game, that would make a big difference.
Yeah, and it's going to take going to take a lot of wins. And then the weather's obviously gotten a lot better. And generally speaking, that's when the fans start coming out when school ends. Will they this year? If they continue to, if they get back to 500, to say nothing of playing above 500, because it looks like that's where they're going to probably end up this year.
I don't know. This fan base is depressed right now, and I'm not saying they shouldn't be, but they are. And the real process of getting back in the race is not winning 20 straight games. It just doesn't happen. It's winning series and it's taking advantage of some easy matchups. It's pretty much everything they've done the last 2 weeks other than go to Atlanta and not get a hit. Try to win the series against good teams, try to build some winning streaks against bad teams, creep back up in the standings. It's going to be a long, slow process. But if they can be in contention and healthy by midsummer, I think you could still see the team I thought they were when I saw them in early March, which I thought was a good team.
Meanwhile, speaking of midsummer, things will be quiet at Twin City Orthopedic until, I guess we got OTAs. I think we already had OTAs, or maybe they're about to start. Talking about Minnesota Vikings, of course. And everything after a very active free agency period where they bolstered much needed help in the offensive line, defensive line, signed some key people. They drafted a few players that, again, it's always a crapshoot from day one. Another offensive lineman they got. But it all comes down to J.J. McCarthy. The rookie quarterback, can he kind of buck the odds and end up being a guy who can lead them to, if not a divisional championship, then at least a playoff spot? And do you just shrug your shoulders and go, he seems like he's got all the qualities, but the unknown is the unknown?
Well, that is accurate. I am giving the benefit. I think Kevin O'Connell has earned the benefit of the doubt. What he's done with different quarterbacks, what he's done in his first 3 years here. I don't think he would be building a team that looks like it's absolutely ready to win now if he didn't believe that J.J. McCarthy could do it. I also look back to last year during preseason. We're at that game and McCarthy throws the touchdown passes and everybody's getting excited. Then you find out he ripped his knee up and everybody's like, oh, why do we care about sports? Might have been the best thing that ever happened. You win 14 games with Darnold. continue to build Flores' defense, and McCarthy gets to sit out and do what Patrick Mahomes did his first year and just learn and see how O'Connell not only coached the heck out of Darnold, but also brought Darnold through a couple mini slumps and brought him back. It might end up being a great thing for him.
Yeah, and that's why I don't look at J.J. McCarthy in the same breath like a Cam Ward. It's like a rookie coming in. No, because he had a full year to absorb, and he's such an analytical kid, and he's wise beyond his years, not just because he meditates every day, but he seems like he's been a winner. He's been a winner, and I think
he's now played for two of the best quarterback coaches in existence, Jim Harbaugh and Kevin O'Connell, with Wade Phillips and with the other assistants they have. Harbaugh is a great quarterbacks coach.
So if you're put on your Kevin O'Connell hat, how much do you play J.J. McCarthy in the preseason?
I play him. I think he just needs to be out there with this unit.
You got to get him out there.
And I don't know, I don't know if it's a quarter or a half, but I play him. I don't treat him like the way you did Kirk Cousins.
But don't you have to play him with most of the other first teamers? You can't just have him out there with guys who are going to hopefully make the team, because that's not fair to him.
No. I would only play him with the first team offensive line.
Okay.
This would be the rare preseason. I hate preseason. I would never play, but this is the rare case where I would play him. Although, here's the caveat. What we've learned is that their training camp scrimmages against other NFL teams, they really prefer, because they can control the hitting. They can run against a full defense that's throwing different looks at them without the risk of their quarterback getting hit. So maybe that takes the place of playing in the preseason.
Yeah, it's no matter what you say, we know this is still a Vikings town, and everything rises and sets on the purple and how they're going to do. So if the Wolves can keep this going for a while, Lynx get off to a good start, maybe the Twins can recover. We can
still be a good summer.
We can have a good summer and enjoy this beautiful weather. So let's leave it at that. Jim, thanks so much.
Always. It's a pleasure. Thanks so much for being with us here on this network. It's great to be with you. Great to have you on the network.
Oh, I'm having a blast. Thanks so much. Thanks for listening to another edition of Rosen Sports Monday.